KPFT Houston. We left off with Sherman, and we were talking about his time with Clifton Chenier, and I know shortly after that you went on to Terrence Simeon. But tell me a little bit about what you took away with you when you left Clifton Chenier.
When my mind spoke to me, and I said, I'm here with Clifton. It's great. I'm on top, but what about me?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to him and I said, Cliff, I got to make this move. I got to go back and get my own thing happening. So he said, I hate to see you go. He said, but I tell you what, he said, you're ready now. He said, when I saw you leading your band before, you were ready then, but only for Houston.
Right.
You wasn't ready for the world.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, you've watched me every night. He said, and I gave you to play 3 songs every night. He said, to grade your paper. He said, each song you moved the people. You got them so ready for me. When I came on, they were ready. So he said, I know you're ready now. He said, you know how to work an audience. You've learned from me. You know what songs to play, how to deliver them. And he said, I want showman like I am, and song, and showman. Mm-hmm. He said, those two are married together. You can't be a showman without a good song. You can't be a good song without a good showman. So that's what he left me with.
And he said, I'm going to be watching you.
And he said, I'm going to be watching you. And then right when I walked out the door, he said, I got to say one more thing. He started crying. I said, what's wrong, Clifton? And I never seen him cry. He was a hard man like my dad. He said, I give you my blessing, and I give you my soul. And you know what? A lot of nights I come off the bandstand, I said, how did I do this? How to play in front of 10,000 people? Because I was really shaken up and scared when I got up there. But when I got up there, I remember, do what Cliff did.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you do. So he left something with me that's in stone in my mind. So now, if I played a 2 or 2 million, it doesn't make a difference. I'm going to do my best because it's song, showman, and song.
Very nice. You're going to take on the world, man. I feel it.
That's it.
And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit.
Okay.
But tell me a little bit about your time with Terrence.
Terrence Simeon came to me when I moved to Louisiana. My dad got ill, and I went back, and I said, okay, now that I'm here, I'll start with the Zydeco stuff. Because I was sitting at home doing nothing. I didn't want to play anymore. I was taking care of Dad and, and keeping everything, because we had a 5-acre place, and it required a lot of time.
Sure.
But then a friend of mine, Dickie Landry from Louisiana, he said, I got this young group, and I need to break them. But they can't break. He said, because I can't get the food I need to them mentally, because they won't listen anymore now. They started playing. He said, I want you to go on the road with them. Do me a favor. He said, I'll owe you one. Go with Terrence. Show him the ropes. Show him how to do it. Teach him the things you know. And he said, I'll owe you one. So I said, okay. I said, I'm not doing anything I wouldn't. I started playing with Terrence Simeon. But what I didn't know, Dickie Landry, first thing we did was Paul Simon. I'm like, okay, I met Paul Simon. And then, he was introducing Terrence to so many large people, I could say. But they were coming to me and say, since you're the oldest guy in the group, what's up with the young guys? And I would set a good word for them, pick out the songs, arrange their songs, to the limitation, but the songs that they were doing, I said, let's do this. And they would come off as really, really hitting hard. So next thing you know, we got called with Dr. John to play in Irving Towers in New York, and it was happening. But at that same time, after we had done that for Terrence and got him straight, I said, well, what about me again? Here I go again.
Right.
So I came back home. I left Terrence. I came back home, and I stayed for about 3 months, and a guy named Rockin' Doopsie came and knocked on the door. He said, man, you was with Cliff. You played with Terrence. He said, I want you to come and help me. But I'm thinking, Rockin' Doopsie, you got a large name. What's the matter? But what I found out, he was only playing in New Orleans and Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
So the first month I got with him, we played New Orleans, then we went to New York. The second month we had a tour to go to Africa on a government tour. So he started moving.
Sure.
But I didn't attribute it to me. I just said, well, hey, I made the right moves. I'm in good hands. But every time that I would assemble myself with someone, I didn't understand it, but it was going forward for them and myself as well. And then we got a call from Dickie Landry that said that Paul Simon wanted a recording.
Mm-hmm.
So he interviewed Buckwheat and this one, Terrence Simeon. He said, no, can't get what I want. Didn't happen. So he said, Doopsie, come and do this. So when I'm playing in the studio, but I notice he's not listening to Doopsie on the accordion. He's listening to me. He walks over to me. He says, stop. He says, great rhythms, man. He said, this is what this record is all about. He said, great rhythms. Of course, Doopsie didn't keen
didn't
to
make
that.
the cut.
Yeah, he said, what about my accordion player? And the guy says, yeah, your accordion is good. He said, it's great. He said, but I like the rhythms that boy's doing back there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that excelled to the Graceland album because of Doopsie.
Okay.
Then I got it thinking again.
And that was a Grammy Award-winning album as well.
It was
got your name all
it
over
was a hit, man.
That's good.
And then I started thinking, what about me? And then I'm saying, am I being selfish or what about me? So I'm toiling with that in my mind, and then I heard a special voice in my head said, it's time for you though.
Mm-hmm.
You can't drag other people around or be assembled with people that's half going now. Can't you see it's time for you to go? So at that same time, when I called a friend of mine, I said, look, I'm putting a band together. I'm going to send you something. I sent it to Canada. Man, before you know it, the guy said, I want you to come. I worked Canada for 11 years, from the East Coast to the West Coast. Straight across, 11 years.
Now, did you live there or you just go up there?
No, I would go up there, and guess what? The guy that booked me let me live in his spare house, rent-free. The fellas could stay there. We didn't have to do hotels. We didn't have to do nothing. We had our own house. You see, there again, I'm blessed again.
Sure.
So that's what happened from Clifton, Doopsie, Terrence, till Canada. Mm-hmm.
And then you got, what now, did Mike Vernon, did he work on your first album, I'm the Man?
Okay, I'm glad you went to that. I was going to say that. Mike Vernon was the man that worked on the first album, but I picked the tunes.
Okay.
So he said, pick the tunes that you feel comfortable with. That's why I played that second tune on that album, Somebody's Messing. Because, see, that was written by David Steen from Lincoln, Nebraska, one of our homeboys.
Okay.
That was writing that blues rock thing that they wanted. And I said, you know what? Let me kind of bring America in here and try to get these songwriters right. There's also a song that's my favorite. I didn't play it, but I will just mention it. It's called Am I Losing You? And it was a hit in Europe for 18 weeks as #1. But it was written by some boys in Arkansas, the Kate brothers. So I was just, I was using Europe as a base and England as a base, but trying to bring the American songwriters into the mix. And that's how, and Mike, when he heard me, the story of Mike Vernon is that I was playing in Belgium to 10,000 people. Mm-hmm. And Mike Vernon was there. Someone said, hey, you got to see this cat, man. He's from America. He's hot. He's arrogant. He's the guy. Come see him.
Now, wait a minute. Mike Vernon, he is a British producer who produced David Bowie, Fleetwood Mac, Eric Clapton. So you got this guy looking for you. That's some good stuff.
Hey, the guy was looking for me. When he met me, he shook my hand. He was so nervous. He said, well, you don't know me. He said, you know Cream, Fleetwood Mac? And he started. I said, okay, yeah, I know all those. I said, what's that? I'm Mike Vernon. I said, oh, how are you doing? I says, what up? And he says, well, do you have a CD out or recording? I said, no. He said, I want to record you. Bad. He said, he said, you remind me so much of Freddie King, and I couldn't record Freddie when I wanted, He said, but you. And he said, I hear so much Robert Cray in your voice. So I said, stop. I said, what you hear is the soul singers from the South. Not that I was not doing homage to Robert Cray, but I wanted to let him know that we listen to the same people.
Sure.
So he flew me to England, and he said, I want to do a recording. We signed the contract, and I'm the Man came into fruition.
Now, was that the album that had the Little Feat members on it? Or was that
no,
the
that's the last one. That's the one we're going to play now.
Okay. Well, should we jump that far ahead?
We can. We can do the Little Feat if you want to.
Okay. Talk to me about meeting Richard Payne and who was the other Little Feat character in there?
It's Richard Payne and Bill.
Okay. And Bill Payne and Richard Hayward. There you go.
I was going to tell you about them, but that came through another friend of mine. That was a fluke. I went to the girl that was managing me was a good friend of Bill Payne.
Okay.
And she called and she said, I got this fantastic blues player. Don't know why he's never ever made it, but you need to hear this guy. So I went to one of their concerts. We talked. They called me up. I played a couple of numbers with them, and friends for life. Right at that point. Mm-hmm. So they said, look, we want to see that you get going. For some reason, you haven't been where you need to be. Let's do a record. So the Going Back Home was the record.
All right.
And what they did, they just backed me to let me do my thing, to let Joe Public and every record company hear, this man has really got it together, but he's in the bushes, you know, he's in the, or he's not where he should be.
All right.
And they helped me do this record.
Okay, and introduce this track for us.
This track is Driving All Night.
All right. And I got two more. This is the last song, but I got two more questions for you, so don't go anywhere.
I won't. I'll be right here.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I won't let him go nowhere.
Okay. Okay, I want to talk about